In times of crisis, it's an opportunity to ensure that your business practices, your teams, your processes are as efficient and as effective as possible. Many companies cut training in this period. The best companies I work with have actually increased their investment in training in this period, because through people's ingenuity, through their skills, through their behaviors, that will absolutely deliver much more value to the organization in times of crisis. So, what would I recommend you do? Review your business processes. Review those and prioritize those to ensure that the ones that deliver brand value are the ones that have the highest priority. There are many things that we will do in an organization that will not ultimately deliver value to the brand. They are nice to have. Those organizations that succeed have 2 or 3 key business processes, and at the end of those processes, the result is always increased brand value. And that's what you need to do. Now, the last few years of technological development has meant that in the traditional media that we used to use for communication, there is now huge fragmentation. It's very difficult to decide which of the channels of different media are going to give you the best return on investment. And no company can invest so much that they can guarantee across all of the different media channels the most effective investment. So as people and organizations that build brand, one of the most important responsibilities you have, understanding your target audience, of course, but understanding the different touch points. Where during the course of a day, a week, a month, this person, this individual, this organization will be open to messages. And what are the channels then that you will use to ensure that the message is received? Successful organizations, I predict in the future, those successful organizations are going to be those ones that are able to combine those media channels, those touch points in the most efficient, most effective way. It's not so much the size of the budget, but it's the formula by which they put together the different media, the different channels, that will make it successful. The day-to-day management of costs and cash in organizations is a core skill. If you're not doing it well in your organization, you will probably not in business. You will very quickly go bankrupt. So every organization which exists somehow is managing this to a good level. Understand your entire cost structure in a very transparent way. So this should be something that should not be done just by the finance department, but should be done with the marketing department, with the sales department. All of the major sales shareholders, stakeholders in the company need to come together to ensure that the costs are actually managed in a very transparent way. So ensure also that when you make decisions or consider decisions about cutting costs, if we are going to cut our advertising, okay, let's make sure we understand what the implication of that is. Because something like cutting investment in advertising or cutting investment in training, for example, might not have an effect tomorrow, might give you the result that you want, which is reduced cost, but actually might devalue your brand in the future. Success is measured in terms of brand value. So ensure that within your brand you have your very clear objectives. What are the measures that you will use to measure brand value? Market share is for me the key value that I would see the best organizations in the world focusing on during times of crisis. Because within this value, you are measuring yourselves in relation to the realistic performance of the market. You are also measuring yourselves in relation to your competitors. You are also measuring yourselves in relation to the actual consumption of consumers within the market. And therefore, it is absolutely the key measure for me within companies. We have to manage this short term, but prepare for the long term. We are here in this situation at least for the next 3 to 5 years on a global basis. And therefore, we have to understand what is the future implications, because we will emerge out of this, but we will emerge into a new world. It will be different. Consumers and customers will act in a different way. People will remember this crisis, not just for the next year or 2 years afterwards, but for the next 10 years. Companies will have changed their processes and procedures. Governments will have regulated industries much more. Therefore, things will change. And as a company, you need to start to understand and predict what these changes and trends will have on your marketplace, your consumers and your customers. I hope the message is coming through very clearly that this global economic crisis is not something that is limited to only some markets and only some sectors. Each one of you has already somehow been affected by it, whether it's in your stocks, your shares, your bank, your property, your business, your customers, your consumers. And there is very few individuals around the world that somehow have not been affected. Therefore, you need to take it into account and build it into an opportunity for your business and brand, not a threat. Remember that brands are the most important asset that you own, that these are things that well invested in over the course of many years, consistently and in a very intelligent way, these will give you return on investment of many, many thousands of times of any other asset that you might wish to describe. I've got the privilege of working with brands that are 100 years old and 125 years old. And they are that age, and they continue to grow because people have invested in them in the right way. Not as just the marketing budget, but as an organization. Those brands, those companies that focus on their brands as the heart of the organization within this period, those are the ones that will emerge in a far stronger way. Obrigado.